The latest operation organized by the Ukrainian forces has caused a great shock around the world. Ukrainian forces, which use bioreactors very actively in all operations, destroyed the Russian air defense systems in Crimea. The Russian Army, which also actively uses S-400 air defense systems, was doomed to defeat again with this operation of Ukrainian forces. When Putin heard about this operation of the Ukrainian forces, he officially went crazy and made moves that resonated around the world. Although the whole world argued that Putin should not have made this move, Putin sent S-400 air defense systems to Crimea, but the Ukrainian army, which learned how to make the shipment of these S-400s on their way to Crimea, made an incredible move. The whole world is talking about this operation. In recent times of the Russia-Ukraine war, Ukrainian forces have started to organize many successful operations with their advanced strategies. With the latest operation of Ukraine, Russia has become nothing in Crimea thanks to the intelligence provided by the Ukrainian forces with barracktars. It detected the location of the S-400 air defense systems. Upon receiving this intelligence, Ukrainian forces immediately launched barracktar waves towards this region. After this defeat of the Russian army, Putin decided to take an incredible step. Bayraktar unmanned aerial vehicles play a major role in Ukraine's ability to establish such superiority over the Russian army. Since the very beginning of the war, the Ukrainian army, which manages to use Bayraktars in the best way, makes good use of this advantage. Bayraktars, which play a major role in many successes both on land and in the air, have managed to be the most crucial point in this major operation. Russia did not think that any attack would come because of deployment of S-400 air defense systems in Crimea. However, the advanced technology, weapons and intelligence of the Ukrainian forces continue to create great difficulties for the Russian army. First of all, the Ukrainian army determined the location of the S-400 air defense systems, thanks to the agents it kept as a result of great efforts within the Russian army. Ukrainian agents in the Russian army stated that this location was near Sevastopol. Following this intelligence received by the Ukrainian forces, Bayraktars, one of Ukraine's most reliable and successful weapons, were sent to the region and a great preparation was started. A total of 12 Bayraktars took off towards this region. The S-400 air defense systems, which detected Ukraine's Bayraktars in a short time, started their defensive attacks. However, with their advanced maneuverability, the Barracudas were not affected in any way by these attacks and managed to dodge them. Bayraktars, which easily managed to reach the position where the S-400 were located, launched kamikaze attacks as the S-400s entered the range. It was reported that 2 Bayraktars were shot down during the attack and 3 Bayraktars were shot down while dodging bullets. However, the S-400 defense systems, which Russia praised and even called the best air defense systems in the world, were completely destroyed by Bayraktar UAVs. Putin, who received the news of this operation, took a big decision and ordered to send S-400 defense systems to Crimea to ensure security in the region. However, knowing that the Kerch Bridge was in great trouble, Putin realized that this shipment could not be made by land in any way. With this in mind, Putin first out of transporting these S-400s by air, but fearing the long-range Patriot missiles that the United States recently provided to Ukrainian forces, Putin realized that he could not make the shipment by air. After this analysis, Putin decided to send the S-400 air defense systems to Crimea by sea. This surprised the Russian commanders, and they thought that this shipment was a mistake. However, Putin ignored the warning of his commanders and started to place the S-400 defense systems on the ship to fulfill his idea. At this point, Israeli intelligence, which played a major role in many places, became one of the most crucial points of the operation. The Israeli intelligence line, which informed the Ukrainian forces from which port the Russian S-400s would be taken, mobilized the Ukrainian forces. The port Israel mentioned was Sebastopol, where the old S-400 systems were located. Israel did not stop at the intelligence it provided and made another big move. A big reason for the success of the Ukrainian forces in this operation is the war strategy used by the Israeli army. Having received the news that the Russian ships carrying the S-400 were on their way and sailing on the water, Ukrainian forces carried out a major operation for this operation. This work was to lure the Russian ships to the position where the biggest blow would be struck. Since the port of departure of the ships was already known, the route that the Russian ship would follow was completely known. Ukrainian forces placed many sea mines in the Black Sea in order to lure these ships to the point they wanted. After this plan, Putin's worst fear came true. Although the Ukrainian forces wanted to hit these ships with long-range Patriots and HIMARS sent by the US, the power of the S-400 defense systems managed to stop these missiles. After these missiles were fired, the Ukrainian forces were shot down by the barracktars. They had launched for reconnaissance purposes. However, Putin had no way of knowing that there was a plan behind all of this. Immediately after Israel provided this intelligence, the Ukrainian army had laid sea mines at several points near Sevastopol. This missile barrage against the Russian army was not intended to hit the ships, but to retreat to the desired area in order to avoid another missile attack. The Russian army did what the Ukrainian forces wanted most and ordered the ships to move south. The Ukrainian army was able to direct the ships to the south where they wanted to go. Putin gave the task of transporting these 400s to his most trusted and well-known ship. This ship was known for its air defense systems and, as we said, its robustness. It was as if the route of the ship carrying the S-400 was officially told by the Ukrainian forces. This is a proof of how strategically advanced the Ukrainian army is. As the Russian army entered the area where mines were laid, the mines laid began to explode one by one. With the explosion of the mine, things turned completely in favor of Ukraine. The armor of the ship, known for its robustness that could not be attacked from the air, could not be pierced. But something unexpected happened. The Russian ship was greatly affected by the explosion of the mines and began to shake incredibly. With the effect of this shaking, the battery of the S-400 air defense systems it was carrying fell into the sea. Having received intelligence of the situation, the Ukrainian forces gave orders to the characters that were in the air. With the battery of the S-400 falling into the water, it became inoperable and the ship was completely defenseless. The Ukrainian army used this incident to its advantage and started attacking the ship with HIMARS, Patriot, and barracktars. The ship, which was completely defenseless, was completely destroyed by the successive blows of the Ukrainian forces. This failure of the Russian army became the most talked about news in all media outlets. The fact that their most trusted weapon was neutralized by Ukrainian forces had a huge repercussion in the world, and Putin was officially ridiculed. This unbelievable operation of the Ukrainian forces went down in the history of warfare with the failures and the operations organized by the Ukrainian forces. Putin has officially become unable to appear in front of the television with this operation of the Ukrainian forces. The Russian army had no say in Crimea. The Russian army, which is experiencing a great shortage of military equipment, gives each soldier weapons dating back to the Soviet Union. Russian soldiers who are very complaining about using these weapons stated that Putin is blatantly sending them to the front line. Women have changed the course of history time and again. What some women do at the most critical moments changes everything. Women's decision-making, style, abilities, and intuition are quite different from men's. Sometimes this difference can lead to a big change. The story of a female soldier in the Ukrainian army surprises everyone. The heroic soldier has become a great symbol in Ukraine. Now the whole world will talk about this heroic woman. As Anka Daily News team, we have compiled what this heroic woman has done for you. You can support our team who has worked for a long time to prepare this news. By supporting independent journalism, you can ensure that such news will continue. You can use the super thanks button below the video. Now let's talk about this hero story that is never commonly donkey is revealed. Many armies around the world do not have any female soldiers. However, developed countries now include women soldiers in their armies because the special skills of women soldiers increase the combat capability of armies. Women soldiers in the Ukrainian army are among the best examples of this. Ukrainian women soldiers became a nightmare for the Russian army. There are currently 60,000 female soldiers in the Ukrainian army. 5,000 of these soldiers are active in the war zone. Evgeny Emerald is considered the most successful female soldier in the Ukrainian army. A very good sniper, Emerald managed to hit 5 targets with 5 bullets. Let's get to know Emerald a little more before we tell you the details of this event. Ever since she was a child, Emerald was different from her friends. While her peers played with dolls, she played with toy guns. She climbed trees and ran very fast. She had an athletic body. This attracted the attention of her father. He wanted a boy very much so. He raised Emerald like a boy. He wanted her to always be a fighter. When Emerald was 9 years old, she went hunting with her father. He gave her a gun. Emerald was like a pro when she held the very heavy shotgun. She started shooting at the targets her father pointed out. Emerald was so accurate that her father was amazed. Today, 23 years later, Emerald is recognized as the most successful sniper in the Ukrainian army. This is not Emerald's only talent. A very successful student, Emerald, graduate from Terrorist Springfield National University in Kiev with a degree in law, psychology, and public policy. Soon after, she got married and gave birth to a child, Jacqueline. She was now a mother. 2 years later, she divorced her husband. This year was very difficult for her because Putin had decided to invade Crimea. Emerald wanted to join the army to protect the territorial integrity of her country, but she was not accepted because she had a child under 3 years old. During these years, Emerald was interested in being a good mother to her child and doing business. But in 2022, her life changed completely. After Russia invaded Ukraine, Emerald closed all her businesses and decided to join the army. She left her daughter with her grandmother and went to the front. She started serving in Zaporizhia. She was very successful during this mission, but she experienced very risky operations. When the fighting between the Russian army and the Ukrainian army flared up in the city, Emerald went up to high points and killed Russian soldiers one by one. Emerald managed to shoot Russian soldiers in the neck. This is a very difficult for a sniper. Russia's soldiers wear helmets and steel armor so they can withstand bullets to their body and head. But there is no armor to protect their necks. That's why Emerald targets the necks of the Russian soldiers. Emerald successfully takes these shots, which were very difficult for all snipers in the Zaporizhia region. They were very close range. Clashes between the Ukrainian army and the Russian army. In one of these clashes, the Russian army launched an attack with a very large group. However, the Ukrainian army showed great resistance against this attack. The Russian army suffered with heavy losses. Ukrainian soldiers returned to their military bases after this operation. But Emerald did not leave his trench. After a while, she noticed 5 Russian soldiers sneaking up. These Russian soldiers had many bombs in their hands. One of the soldiers was carrying a rocket. 5 Russian soldiers were planning to bomb the Ukrainian base. Ukrainian soldiers did not expect such an attack. If this attack had happened, many Ukrainian soldiers would have died. Emerald was alone against 5 Russian soldiers. She had to do something before the Russian soldiers noticed her. But there was a problem. Emerald had only 5 bullets left. She knew that if she didn't hit one of the targets, she would die. She could still manage to foil the Russian soldiers' operation. She risked her own life to save the lives of her friends. First, she targeted a Russian soldier carrying a rocket. She watched him through her binoculars. As soon as the Russian soldier stepped out into the open, she fired. She managed to kill the Russian soldier by hitting him in the neck with the first shot. Meanwhile, the Russian soldiers panicked and fled to different areas. This made Emerald's job easier. The Russian soldiers were trying to figure out where the fire was coming from. Emerald acted very quickly and fired at another Russian soldier, and she was successful. Now, there were 3 Russian soldiers left. The Russian soldiers were experiencing the most terrifying moments of their lives. One soldier saw where Emerald was firing from, but the Russian soldiers' weapons did not have sniper scopes. This gave Emerald a huge advantage. She outran the Russian soldier and managed to kill him too. The 2 remaining Russian soldiers were in great despair. Emerald thought that they might surrender. She waited for a while, but the Russian soldiers did not come out of their trenches. After a while, one of the Russian soldiers tried to crawl out of the trench. Emerald, who was waiting, shot this soldier too. But this soldier was not killed. He was seriously wounded. Emerald looked through her binoculars and saw that this soldier could move his hands. As he turned his head to look at the other soldier, he saw something. The only remaining soldier was trying to run away. Emerald shot this soldier too, but the bullet hit him in the shoulder, not in the neck. The Russian soldier kept running wounded. Emerald had no bullets left, but she used her binoculars again to check the Russian soldier on the front line. She realized that the badly wounded Russian soldier was dead. Emerald managed to hit all 5 targets with 5 bullets. 5 Russian soldiers died and 1 soldier escaped wounded. After this operation, Emerald's success became the talk of the troops. Soon, the Ukrainian press also started to report about Emerald. Emerald became one of the most talked about people in Ukraine. Journalists in the Ukrainian press think that Zelensky may very soon pin a medal on Emerald. The most valuable official decoration in Ukraine is the Hero of Ukraine award. Emerald is expected to receive this award at a special ceremony. Emerald heroism gives courage to all women in Ukraine. The Ukrainian people are united even more thanks to these heroic stories. Emerald is recognized as a symbol of resistance for all women in Ukraine. Who lost quiet to you? Remain calm. What do you think about the Ukrainian women's achievement? What do you think about Emerald's courage? How do you think women soldiers could change the course of the war? What do you think about Emerald being awarded a medal? Don't forget to share your thoughts with us. Follow us for more updates. Thank you for watching us. The following are comments from the audience.